Oh my. I feel like that was me last night. Alright. It's did post. Did post. Okay. Flip. Keep rejecting at VWAP. Pretty weak hold here. Below last week's support. Might fade down, but looking for a short, but I'm waiting a little bit. Activate.
Zone A confirmed. Leaning short inventory setup 01 and 02 both active. IB not yet complete, no IBL/IBH setups until 7:30 SC.
All right, data. Okay. All right. So we got ourselves a little intraday coach. Tradewrick coach. The internals are still red. I'm not sure here. Probably we'll have to add into it, but overall we gapped out. Oh, gapped out a little bit below 250. Kind of last week's support, the end of the day. All the internals are red so far. We'll see how they hold up into the open. Time is it? Low VWAP. Can't seem to reclaim yet. I mean, it's still early. It's 10 minutes in, so I'm willing to just try it small and then add more as we get more rejections below VWAP. Or below the flip. 250. Pretty big lot right there. Oh, I had another lot here. There's a lot seller right there on the dom. He pops up on the got filled right there. We're in balance below the prior day low. I'm just watching to see if they touch it. Right now. Right now. Here's the priority load testing. 50 video. The reaction is they tap back into it. Probably just squeeze me out. Come back to where that dip came from. But if this gets weaker and it rejects here, pretty good spot on my ad here. I'm not expecting a downtrend by any means, but a retest of 7,200 pretty much it seems ideal today, which is near the overnight low. Have some sort of LVN, small LVN from that dip here. There's two nodes. And we're kind of trying to push away from one to the next. You can kind of see it on the weekly. Have another smaller time frame profile just above my head. Yeah, if they break back past this, they're probably going to test it right here at 261. They might just come and test it and take me out. There we go. See all the entries. Hey, bud, I'm looking for a short here. What do you think?
Wrong channel. This terminal is ES/MES futures only.
Oh. No, a short trade, not short hair.
Not a recognized setup. Clarify your trade idea using playbook terms.
Oh, shit. Damn, the bot's real blunt, huh? Let him know a little bit. He was like, what are you talking about? There's not a setup. We'll add here again. Nice to get below VWAP, which is right here. I'll add a couple more lots. Added a couple more there. Keep the stop where it is. My voice is really dry. I don't know why I woke up my sore dry throat. Huh? Oh no. see, where is... Keeps holding the taskbar. Huh? What's that? Yeah, it doesn't seem like they want to stop buying it. Just teetering at the high here. Might get a little squeeze here into the low volume node. Probably get stopped out. It just keeps holding. They need to hold it below VWAP if this wants to continue to go lower. Otherwise, it's just going to grind like Thursday and Friday. Leading. Oh wait, no, where is the delta, the flip here? Yeah, the delta's still on, okay. Yeah, it looks like they might hold it. Keep projecting right here at the highs, right, excuse me, right at the priority low. No. Oh, it is, yeah. Huh? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I have a plan to get long on a failed breakdown of the O and L. Does the current regime support that?
Yes, regime supports it. Zone A, leaning short inventory setup 010NL failed breakdown is armed and valid.
What platform am I using for my charts? Sierra chart. And then the DOM on the left is Jigsaw Daytradr. Jigsaw Daytradr. Welcome, Brandon. A little bit of a rejection there. Not sure what that's about, but sure it's news related. What time is it? 7:08. Yeah. Are we target? Time is it? 7:09. Not IB's not set yet. Okay. Which one? Oh my. I'll leave right now too to take Ezra. I'm like, oh no, I'll still need 10 minutes. Never mind. Yeah, it's like 10 minutes. So far, bids will hold. There's no selling yet. The internals are all mixed around, so kind of hard to say which direction. We're just kind of chopping around. Overall, the backdrop is bullish, higher time frames high. At some point, we'll get trend. Large consolidation already. The way I see it is we're holding below prior day low from Friday. Kind of. They're trying to pro back into it. A lot of volume is forming here. A lot of inventory below the point of control from overnight and from Friday. But they're still probing. These guys are fucking crackers. They keep buying everything. So here's what I'm saying. They're gonna stop me out. Wow. Point of control overnight, point of control during Friday. And they're trying to probe into this low volume node here. Right? So right here. If they accept back above 260s, then it's just gonna go back to the point of control again. Well, and stopped out for sure. Squeeze in here. Yeah. Just a bunch of net buying, so some sort of selling getting covered here for sure. They're gonna squeeze here right into 270. Still open a short, but gotta give it a little VWAP. I mean, the priority high is right there, priority low is right there, right below us. And VWAP, they're kind of both clustered together. But outside of that, I'm just gonna have to wait, chill. This might want to come back to Friday's closing. That code base located. You didn't check that, did it? Holy cow. Let's see, did they load? We probed into yesterday's the overnight and Friday's Valley low. We're kind of accepting into it. We should test point of control here. 270. This was the area from overnight, or we rejected a few times. See if that does or not. There we go. Much better. Here is the cool. All right. Anyone have a position here? I mean, if you're long from this morning, I mean, it's pretty much a good spot to be long from. As long as we hold VWAP rest of the session, or holding the first standard deviation, like this wants to go pretty parabolic. Pretty much waiting till we trade either above or below overnight high or low. This still gives me some ease that there's still a move left in the day. Either we go higher or lower from here. Only problem is that the IB is contained within both. All right, I'll be back in about 15 minutes. I do like a setup for a failed break out of the IBH, but definitely come back to that about 15 minutes or so. All right, we are back. Not much has changed. Just grinding up. We broke the IB. Okay, so this is where I'll look for like a failed breakout of the IBH. See what this guy says. The IBH is now set. We're looking for a failed breakout of it. No, that's not what I
Hard
said.
stop. IBH is 0.0 IB is not complete. No IBH
No, I gotta
setups
run the
until
stat.
7:30 SC.
It's already 7:30. I gotta run the IBH is 72.67.
IBH noted. Still need 7:30 SC confirmation before any IBH failed breakout setup is valid.
Yeah. There we go. Now we have the IB. All right. Do you have the IB report now? Oh, shit. Do you have the IB levels and report now?
Negative. I only work with what you provide at session open.
I need to work
No
on the
external data
fucking
feed.
mic one. The IB stats, do you have them now?
Negative. IB stats were not provided at session open. Send them and I'll use them.
What the hell? They're not being pulled? IBL. I gotta freaking fix that now. Okay, well, let's provide it to him. Let's see. IBH is 68. Hmm. Have the latest data. Okay. Well, we'll be waiting for a settlement. Let's see what happens. Right now it's just chop, chop, grind, grind. We're going into that period of time, in May / June, where volatility just kind of dies down. And you have those low volume periods historically from May to June. Okay. Getting some momentum here. What time is it? No, should be 4 the hours up. There's something going on here. Targets versus VWAP. We'll add a little bit more on some weakness, but again, I want to see a hold below the IB. This is a failed breakout of the IB highs, what I'm looking for. Add a couple more. Continues. Pretty weak. But bulls are very strong. 270, somewhere around here. Why didn't do something like that? Failed breakout of the overnight high. We're targeting the I'm sorry, not the overnight high, the IB high. targeting the VWAP. VWAP is right there at the 2, right where my, there's a priority low, ironically. VWAP is loading up passively on the DOM too. If you can see the, the ass loading up some of the offers. Can you see that actually? Can you see my mouse opening over it? Oh, you can. Cool. What if I draw? Can you see if I draw? Gotta hit the VWAP. No, you can't see my drawings. Okay. It's something that I probably will have to backtest. I feel like it's very typical for it to have a failed breakout of the IB high when we have a net short inventory during the New York Open. It's very common, so I might have to backtest that and see how that kind of plays out. Because it's a historically, I've seen this pattern happen many times. They brought it right back up. That was a fucking scam of a dip, huh? Anyway, we'll see if they hold below the IBH. But what I was saying is, I think there's a historical hit rate of the IBH failing to break out or can get a continuation when you have a overnight inventory leaning short kind of open. So what I'm talking about is like I have I have a scan that pulls overnight inventory volume, and it can either be one of four factors. It can either be, I might need to zoom in so you can see it. It can either be,
I can't see charts. Text only. Describe the setup in numbers.
I wasn't talking to you, bro. All right. So it's, as you can see, there's four different scenarios. Either you're net long above settlement, which is the closing price of the prior day. You're either leaning long, which is 60% of the volume was above settlement, balanced, or leaning short, net inventory short. Today we opened leaning short. The majority of the settlement volume, most of the volume below settlement traded below the close. And so during these times, usually you have this probability play out. It referenced it today, it didn't trigger. I might need to backtest it further to see why this setup did not trigger. It's the IBH failed breakout, the short setup, which is what I took, you know. We'll see how this plays out. I'm gonna work on this probably Tuesday. Backtesting this setup here with these parameters. The target always is VWAP though. The most obvious target is always VWAP on this kind of setup because it's a mean reversion play. So you can see here it even says primary target is VWAP. 100% hit rate when it does trigger. Okay. Anyway, it looks like it's gonna fade out. That little pop got people excited probably, but anyway, I'm still holding the short, and I'm gonna cover another set right here at the IB low. And then we'll get down to a runner, just one lot thereafter. How many lots do I have? 3. So yeah, sell 2, hold 1. All the what do you call them? All the internals are red as well. So the breadth is weak, so to speak, on this rally. Where's my super suit? Oh, oh. Excuse me. Okay. That's an alert letting me know that all the breadth indicators went negative. So it's bearish, so to speak. Let's see, can I put those on the screen to share? Put the breadth indicator, where should I place it? I have to make it on OBS here. Capture. There we go. Cut it. How do we place them? Let's see. Here. Excuse me. It's fair right there. Good. Right there now. I need to make a news wire. That dip must have been news related, I'm sure. I gotta find out how to make that news wire. So I'm gonna work on that right now while this kind of plays out. 'Cause I'm pretty certain that dip that came at around that 708 timeline, 808 timeline, it was more than likely a news wire, a news update of some sort. So let's make a news wire that we can add to this stream to the we can integrate here to the stream. I have a lot of data on this stream right now. I mean, the reports I pull, they're off screen. They're not really shared. They're my reports based on my historical backtests and setups, but I share them when I take them. And then you have the put and call walls right here that are options related, along with the at the money gex. Back test that too. Still fading lower. So I'm, came in, got a quick little scale here, scale the rest, a couple more lots here near IB low. And then we're gonna trail the last set to target the overnight low. So these are all these targets are all more or less probability targets. So let's pull that up here, give you more context. Okay, so here it is. So this report, again, overnight high, failed, FBO means failed breakout. IBH failed breakout. It's a short setup. The target's always the primary VPOC, but that was actually right near where VWAP is currently at 254. And then the primary, which is VWAP, has 100% historical hit rate, which is where we scaled the first set at. We'll pull up the scales right now. I don't think it's 100% though. Nothing's ever 100%, so that's probably just an anomaly. But it's pretty high, okay, for sure. First set right there scaled at 254, which is right where VWAP and the point of control is, the VPOC. And then the IBL is the second target we're hitting right here, 242, 60% hit rate. We're targeting that right now on this next scale set. Hey, Zachary, welcome back, dude. How you been, brother? Peace be with you as well, Zachary. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Zachary, I'm sorry I said your name wrong. Remind me, where are you from again, Zachariah? I think you were out of the country, but I could be wrong. I know it's been a while since I've streamed. I remember your name. But welcome back, sir. There we go, Morocco. That's where it's any time you came to Morocco. I guess so, man. What are your favorite things to do at Morocco? Let's see. I always like to look up where people are from. It's always cool to see people all over the world. That's so interesting. Very pretty. Wow. I actually have to go to the restroom. I'll be back. Target's about to tag here again. IBL based on the historical hit rates. Let me pull up the play again. Yes. This was the trade more or less. The failed breakout. I said it before I left on break.
Copy. Standing by when you're back.
Oh, the coach also took that message. They failed the last set right there. The last contract will have to be filled at the last contract will be filled at the overnight low. Put that bid. Buy limit. Right around there. Actually, I'll just fill it here. I'm not gonna even mess with this. There we go. I'm not gonna mess with this setup. I like the flush. We'll take it if we want continuation more. It's fine. Then the overnight low is the most obvious target, though, I will say. If this continues. That flush is pretty strong. I think we could get a strong continuation, but I like a retest of the IBL at some point today, but or a short continuation. That short setup played out. I was short early in the morning, but it was just too early. This happened before, about like last week. And then we waited for the IBH, the IB initial balance high to break. We got an initial balance failed breakout. And then we targeted VWAP, IBL, and now, well, overnight low. Do you use AI? 100% do. I use AI a lot. I certainly do, brother. That's how I pulled this report. Well, I had a setup already in mind, right? And this is the report that I generated using AI to backtest some data that I had access to. I'll be right back. I gotta go to the restroom. All right. Do you input data from? I don't. So actually, I do for one of my screens. So I have a gamma level. I have a gamma a screen that I do use Yahoo Finance as a backup in case my initial pull from my by the way, all the data that I pull is from Sierra charts. So Sierra chart, I pay for the data and access to it. I pull the data from from Sierra charts. 6 years of data is what I used. And then when I run my gamma levels, I pull the data from Sierra, but if it fails for any reason, the CSV file doesn't work for any errors, to ensure that the report still runs, it'll use Yahoo Finance as a backup, but it's not the primary source. Primary source is Sierra chart. Failure Fridays value are low. That did overnight point of control. Yeah, I use data from finance, but it just the open loan high. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's good to pull. If it's just static data, it's pretty good. I don't know how it is with ongoing data, meaning like I don't know how delayed or errors you'll get from an API pull midday. But what do you use it for? What do you use your Yahoo Finance for? What data are you using or pulling? Yeah, we'll remove the fills for now just because it looks very spammy. Oh, that's fine actually. I just scalp and low. For me, I don't. Oh, okay, cool. Cool, man. What do you trade? I think it was NASDAQ at the time. I'm not sure if it's still the same. Anyway, that was a good short. It kind of played out a little quickly. Rather fast trade, but I think for now we'll just kind of play here. You know, adjust this crap that shows up. Our trade setting. ES, NQ, and YM. Okay, cool. So you mainly trade what, the PDLs, the prior day levels? Price. There we go. A little cleaner. A little cleaner than what it was on the bills. We took one loss, smaller, 2-1. So pretty much like it took one loss, and then it was early on the setup. So we took an entry here, stop loss here, and then we re-entered, and then we scaled, and we're net green on the day, 277. So overall, 2-1, pretty good setup there. Not the bot. I'm gonna end the bot for now. Why do you use Chart? Honestly, I was testing it out at first. I was just gonna try it out for, I don't know, like a few weeks. It's actually a really great software if you enjoy customability. It wasn't supposed to be permanent, but you can configure so much into this. It's kind of sticky because once you like create your chart books, like your setup on here, you just can't go anywhere else. You're kind of stuck with Sierra Chart. They have access to so much data, so much great indicators. You can make some great custom indicators. You can create you can link your Python scripts into it. There's just so much variability into it that I just don't see the reason not to have it. At least for me, like I try, if I'm gonna have Sierra Chart, I'm gonna abuse the ability to have full flexibility over the software. But if I just want something bare bones, like nothing crazy, I think just a DOM or a simple chart, then Jigsaw is probably the one, or Thinkorswim, or TradingView. But if you want like full flexibility where you add a bunch of stuff to it, like all the stuff I have on my Sierra chart is all custom. And I have other reference charts that I pull data from. I have, it's professional level, it's customized. So like professional, I don't know what that is, right? Where is that bar? But what I can say is that it provides a ton of flexibility. It's a ton of customization that I don't think other softwares have. What I will say is their DOM is kind of whack. I tried to get it configured like Jigsaw, but it wasn't the same. It didn't really work out. But you were using footprint? I was. I don't longer have a footprint chart open, but that's a great question. You know, I have a bunch I have a lot of people that have come in and asked me about that recently. I no longer have a footprint chart anywhere open um on my charts. think that's enough for you if you used for confirmation. The DOM, yeah, I mean honestly, I pay attention to the pace and the just the delta on the DOM. The footprint chart I just no longer reference. I just felt like it was a little more noisy for me personally than it was useful. I think I used too much information and kind of I would see things that weren't really there or that were of quality on the footprint, so I would make up stuff, so to speak, more often than not. Excuse me. Can you explain your strategy with AI? Um, so I wouldn't say that like AI gave me a strategy. I just back tested the criteria that I use to take trades. Um, and then I used the parameters that I look for. So that would include, uh, so I use first standard deviation, IB high, IB low, overnight high, overnight low, and then VWAP, and then overnight inventory volume, in respects to prior day close. It was pretty much in a nutshell all the elements that I used to come up with my plans. And then what I did was I compiled 6 years of data from Sierra chart, and then I created an Excel sheet with all that data, all those price levels and indicators. And then I gave it certain parameters to scan that data with, and with specific playbooks, specific framework. And then it back tested that data, gave me historical dates in which those instances occurred for each playbook or each setup. And then I went back and back tested them manually to see if it was scanning correctly. So here's the playbook, right? So I gave it 3 different classifications of possible opens based on the data that I used to come up with trade plans. And then I gave it the parameters. So It identifies the inventory state going into the New York Open based on volume, prior day close. That state alone then gives me a baseline, right, on what to expect for the New York Open, on what setup is possible of those inventory states. So that's number one. I gave it that framework, and then it generated the framework, and now it scans it for me. So I no longer have to manually create that framework or the baseline information. It just scans the data for me, and it tells me, hey, inventory is net long, balanced, or net short. So I no longer have to manually do it. I can just click a button, click one of these, and it does it. It pulls that report in the morning. And so this morning, the most obvious thing that anybody would guess, today was one of those days where you didn't have to really do the math, but you could tell that today's inventory was net short based on the gap down that we had in the overnight action, the way we had opened right before the so the inventory was leaning short here. You can see here, module 1, overnight inventory. And then from there, then we come down into the setups. So we have the overnight low that I reference often for a failed breakdown. That's a long setup. IB low failed breakdown. That's a long setup. Gap up overnight. If we have a gap up like we have recently within the last, let's say like month, since April was such a strong a month, the setup here assumes that we will get a pullback after a gap up, either into the prior day high, depending on how big the gap is, or back into VWAP from the overnight session. And that's where I'll look for an entry or failed breakdown to get long for a continuation into the rest of New York session from the overnight gap during the the overnight session, so to speak. So these are the different setups, the parameters and context I gave it to look for, and then the targets, the historical targets. So this was also important, is like when you have a setup that you're looking for, what are historical probability targets that you can not guarantee, but have a high chance of scaling out into. And so then I back tested that and gave it 3 to 4 different targets to hit depending on the setup. It tells me the hit rate, the invalidations, and the same thing with the IBL failed breakdown. You can see the instances in the last 5 instances where it traded. There was 2 where it failed, right? So you can back test that, and then 3 where it worked. You can see that when it fails, the MFE is relatively low. And then the MFE on when it works is relatively high. And we have the failed breakout, which is today's reading. And then you have a gap up reversion, which is the other setup here. And I'm just kind of scanning through it, but all this information I had to feed it all the data and parameters and then back test it manually. And this is the report it pulls in the morning for me. So it'll pull the overnight key levels that I use every day. And then it will tell me more or less inventory is X, Y, or Z. So then scenarios, it'll give me specific triggers for only ones that will work that session, given the overnight inventory. So it just narrows down my probability playbook, and it gives me only setups that will probably trigger that day. And then I have this sheet as well that I prep, and it pretty much uses all the inventory data that's pulled from that report, and I give it the parameters, and it'll tell me the probability of what to look for that session. Which setup should I look for that session based on the gamma and volatility context, the overnight inventory, the sigma open, which is where price opens relative to the standard deviations, and then other miscellaneous info. And it'll tell me based on this whether I should be trading full size or 50% size as well. And then I have this bot right here. This is the terminal you see. I'm working. It's quirk. It has a lot of quirks, so I gotta fix it. But this bot essentially has all the data from those sheets I just pulled. And if I ask it that information about like, hey, I'm looking for a long or I'm looking for a short, the robot, this little AI bot already knows what those setups are. And if I'm taking a trade and it doesn't align with those setups, it'll be like, hey, that's not a good trade. Hey, that's not part of the setup. Or it'll say, hey, that's a good setup, target this one, or etc. So I do have to fix this bot. I just generated this over the weekend and it does have some quirks. It looks like some of the data did not integrate to the report that it has access to, so I got to figure that out. I also have to change the name, the voice, because it's very robotic. And then to change the voice and then adjust, make sure that all the data is being synced into it. Because it looks like it was missing one report. I hope that answers the question as far as like how I use the AI, what I use it for. It's a pretty long-winded answer, but it's to ensure I don't take trades that I don't need to be taking, and I align with my playbook that I already trade, that I'm familiar with, and then it helps me have objective targets when I scale, so I'm not looking for a bigger move than what's more than likely to occur on any given day. So like I would take trades and I would try to hold it for longer or target a price that was never going to hit historically. And so the trade would go in my favor and then come back down, chop me up and down, and eventually I would settle the trade for less than what I could have gotten because I was looking for a bigger move than what was historically possible. So now I'm just objective with the targets based on historical hit rates with the data that I gave it. So I'm not really trying to squeeze the position too much. And I'm not as greedy because of it. So I'm not missing out. Yeah, I'll miss out on the move, you know, for the extension that may come, but that's not a big deal because over time that irons out. You're optimizing your time and trades. Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, exactly that. Good recap. Yeah. What platform do you use for trading, Zachariah? So let me pull actually, well, another report. This is another report that I reference a lot. This is a recent historical report for the last 2 years. I have another one for the last 4, but this is the most recent 2. This is the overnight session levels probabilities. The highest, the most important one is this one here, overnight high or overnight low touch. That means that on any given session, the probability of hitting either the overnight high or the overnight low, there's a 90% chance that either one of them will trade. Not both, just one. Both hitting at the same time, there's a 42% chance of hitting, so less than a coin toss. So trying to target both on any given day, terrible choice. But this one is the reason I was open to targeting the 72.13 overnight low. I ended up closing it, but because there's always a high probability that we'll trade one of the levels. And then the IB as well has a higher hit rate. At least one IB breaks, 78% chance. Today we broke both, which is not a common thing. Both full day breaking, 20% chance. And these are other stats here as well. Jigsaw and Daytradr. Okay, cool. Another news print there. All right, well, I think we trade overnight low. We might get a bigger breakdown coming into midday. I think that we had a good short setup. The biggest error was taking it too early. The only thing that was great was that the risk was mitigated and the actual reward once the setup triggered was 2-1, cleaning up my initial loss and leaving me with a net gain on the day. The one major thing was the fact that I didn't really maximize the position. It went quickly in my favor. Once I entered, I didn't have any much drawdown. So I entered and then I added more to the short and then I scaled. What I could have done is maximize the risk by adding bigger size and then just using the initial high. That'll be something to review for my journal tonight, but the initial entry was here on the short and here a little bit after the open, and then thereafter again based on the failed breakout. And again, that was given here a little bit before I left on a break to take my son to school. I said I was going to be looking for this short setup right here. I will be back tomorrow. Thanks to you guys for tuning in. Let's see here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the video for the comments. I'll be back tomorrow morning pre-market. Thanks, Zachariah, for being here. Anyone else who tuned in?